kind of about music podcast.
Welcome to episode 10 of the Kind of About Music podcast. If you want to catch up on previous episodes of the podcast and see what else I'm doing, you can go and check out my website, which is www.JimGuitarMan.com. So it's JimGuitarMan, all one word. And there's links to all the old episodes and other stuff that I'm doing on there as well. For the first time ever, it is now possible to support the podcast by clicking on the link in the description, whether you're watching on YouTube or soon we'll have these episodes up on iTunes too. In the description, if you click on the link, you can make a donation to help out the podcast. Basically, making the podcast takes time and effort, and I have to buy gear and rent rooms, and I'd like to actually ask somebody who knows what they're doing to help me edit and produce the sound on the podcast as well, to make it better. There's extra bits of equipment, like I want to get some more cameras so we can have more camera angles, all that sort of stuff. Anyway, all takes time, money, effort. So if you like what's going on in the podcast and you want to help support it, click on the link. You should be able to make a one-off donation, or if you're feeling very generous, a recurring donation. That would be even more appreciated. Anything, any amount, any help, appreciated. Today's guest is a guitarist called Dion Rushe. Dion has just come off a couple of dates where he's been playing in a metal band called The Raven Age, and they've just been supporting Mastodon on a world tour, and he's just done a couple of dates supporting Mastodon with that band playing guitar. So there'll be a link in the description to check out Raven Age. Also, where I met Dion was at the Marmalade Jam, which is where he's a house guitar player. It's a great jam. It's in Hammersmith, a place called Smith's Cocktail Bar. If you want to find more information out about the jam, go to www.musicmarmalade.co.uk. It's a great jam. It's really friendly. Lots of people there. You meet loads of musicians and singers, and the music's great. It's really easy to get up and have a jam, and check it out because it's fantastic. So enjoy the podcast. Remember to subscribe if you like what we're doing, and if you feel generous, make a donation. And if you like to share it on Facebook or anything like that, please do so. The more people listen to it, the more likely I am to get some sponsors to help me make this podcast better. And appreciate everybody who's listening and checking it out. Dion Rushe.
Cool.
Benson.
There it is.
Mr. Dion Rushe, everybody. How you doing, man?
Yeah.
That sounded cool.
Thank you.
Cool. Let me just put something. Just try your tuner for a second, because we've got this grounding. Yeah, there we go. We've got like... No, but I could probably mix it out anyway. This is Dion Rushe. He's a professional guitar player based in London. Recently just come off some... well, normally you're playing kind of sessiony stuff like the rest of us, but recently, what I'm most interested in at the moment is the metal gigs that you've just done.
Yeah.
So you've got like a... like me, you come from like a metal background, don't you? Like you've got a metal... What's your band called?
My band we're not really doing much at the moment, but we're called Envy Assured. Kind of, it's all gone to die down a little bit because everyone else is kind of doing their own thing, and I sort of moved away from that scene a little bit. Yeah. But this band that I was filling in for is basically my mate's band. He's the drummer, and they're called the Raven Age. Right. And they just got off a world tour with Iron Maiden, so it's pretty. Yeah. I mean, I'm gutted they didn't get me to Dep on that, but you know. But,
so who was it? So what the gigs that you were playing on?
Yeah.
You guys were supporting Mastodon.
Mastodon, yeah.
And as I said to you before, Mastodon is for me one of my absolute favorite bands. I met them when I think they'd just done the Leviathan album.
Yes, that was... when was that? That would have been...
Oh, I don't know.
Quite a while ago,
2010 or 2009, maybe something like that. Yeah, it's the one with the... was it... Blood
and Thunder, yeah. Such a good riff. Yeah.
So it was kind of like, for me, when I was listening to it, like when I first got into metal, like... I started off with Metallica, as everybody does, and that sort of thing. I was never quite into Iron Maiden. It was never my thing. It was a bit... Yeah. For me, it was always a little bit... I'm not into cartoons and stuff like that.
Yeah,
you know
it's quite sort of very retro and sort of kind of cliched, mythical sort of sounding, which is not really my bag.
But then the weird thing about Mastodon is Mastodon took that and they took the kind of old school Metallica sound and created this kind of monster out of it, for want of a better word, but with the mythological stuff, like that album Leviathan's always all about Moby Dick, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's the tour that I saw them on.
Yeah.
And just incredible, just like all the different parts and like all the different extra little bits and extra bars and...
Man, they are monstrously tight as well. I was like, geez, like these guys are... And their guitar tone is just ridiculous. Like the guy, I think it was Bill Kelleher, the rhythm guitarist. I think. Was he lead? I can't remember.
Well, they kind of both do it, but
yeah. He was unpackaging a nice brand new Friedman amp on the first day, and he was literally tinkering around with it in the venue for ages, and it was like... It almost blew my ears up. It was sounded massive.
Is he using like some with like a Gibson with the AMGs sort of thing?
He was. I think it was like a Les Paul custom. But he has got a signature. I think it's an LTD ESP, just sort of like an Eclipse shape.
Yeah. Oh, they're beautiful. I was looking at at one point. I was looking at getting when I was doing the metal kind of more than what I'm doing now. But I was looking at the Eclipse one that they've got. It's like a matte black with a kind of pinstripe and the EMG thing. Yeah, absolutely beautiful. But so did you get to meet them then?
Yeah, well, to be honest, it was kind of a funny one because I think they've been on tour for so long. Yeah. They were just a little bit, I won't say grumpy, but they just sort of wanted to keep themselves to themselves. Sure. Literally had the crew was setting up every gig for them. Yeah. So, had exchanged kind of pleasantries and said hello. The drummer is really nice. He's really cool. It's Bran Daler, I think his name is.
Yeah, he's incredible. So I used to watch like all the YouTube videos of him recording the drum parts and stuff. It was incredible.
He's got such an interesting style. Like I heard him sound checking in Dublin, and it was like all these like polyrhythms. It's not traditionally metal. He's very kind of jazz kind of orientated. It's just, oh my god, amazing! Yeah. And he can sing amazing.
Yeah, I was going to say he sings as well. What's the one off the Crack the Sky album where he's singing? What's it now?
I'm not sure. I know the Motherload, I think he sings off of the latest one.
Yeah. And he's got kind of quite an old school prog voice as well, hasn't it? Like which is quite nice when you've got the other guys who are kind of like...
Yeah, like Brent is literally like properly, he was a little bit grumpy actually. Like
Brent,
the tattooed face,
Well, when I met him, he was absolutely smashed at the Corporation in Sheffield. He was just kind of like talking into his pint, like, and kids are coming up to him, and he was like,
I heard a funny story about him actually, because the band had done a couple of dates with Mastodon before in Italy, and they were speaking to them a bit more extensively when they supported them before. And apparently Brent told Matt, the bass player from the Raven Age, that back home in America he has an entire room dedicated to weed or something. I was just like, wow, that's that's hilarious. Like,
there you go. Well, do you know what? If it creates music like that, then why the hell not?
Absolutely.
I think what they also did is they kind of brought something really quite, because it was an old school thing that brought into the metal world, but also it was something very new. Like they kind of rethought it, if you like. And like one of my other favorite metal bands was Down.
Down, oh my God, yes. Phil Anselmo, yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's not done too.
Oh, not recently, no.
Cool, not been too cool recently. But
he's keeping a low profile now, isn't he? Just as well.
I think so. Yeah, but yeah, I remember like they were like again one of my absolute favorites. And I heard Pep Keenan talking about Mastodon. I guess like these guys have changed the game like totally. Like this is the new kind, because it was at a time where like. You had things like Bullet for My Valentine and all that sort of Avenged Sevenfold, which was kind of a mixture of the Metallica and the bits of Pantera and Iron Maiden and all that stuff. And
very sort of modern sound, I would say. Whereas,
where the Mastodon thing, it's like you can hear the Marshall amps. It's all kind of a bit scratchy, but I much preferred that kind of sound. But I would say the other band that I was really into was Pantera, and their sound was totally different. You've got the Cowards from Hell.
Yes, I have. The Dimebag War. Yeah. Love a bit of Dimebag.
Give us a blast on that. Has ever listened to it?
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Let's just
Does it do kind of subtle stuff as well?
Yeah, to be honest, I've got it set. In fact, let me move that back a little bit. I've got it set quite a sort of R&B-esque sort of sound for kind of, function stuff.
Oh, right. Has it got an adjustable?
Yeah, it's got like adjustable cue. You can adjust like everything really. It's got like I can't even remember what it's got on there, but I've basically got it set to how I like it.
Yeah, it's quite smooth then.
Yeah, just haven't really touched it, but it's also got like a little red switch on the side that acts as like a boost. So, if you want to kick it on, that's very Dimebag.
What do you do that when you're actually on stage? You just kick it on the side?
Yeah, you can kind of kick. There's a little switch here on the side, and then it didn't do it then, but a red light pops on, and then you know it's on, and then
you know it's ready to rock.
Yeah, so then when you kick it on, not only are you doing wah, it's bloody, really loud. So yeah.
Dimebag Darrell again. I was lucky enough to see him when he played for his new band, not Pantera.
Damage Plan, was it?
Damage Plan, yeah. And to be honest, I watched it. I wasn't really into Damage Plan. It was kind of a bit more middle of the road when you got Pantera, like.
Yeah. To be honest, I don't know a great deal of Damage Plan, but
no, me neither. Well, they did one album and it wasn't that great, but then they did Walk.
Yes.
So I got to see Dimebag doing Walk.
Oh, so Damage Plan played Walk on their set.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's
brilliant. I think it was a Download, and it was a Download where Metallica played, but Lars Ulrich wasn't there. So you got Dave Lombardo from Slayer, Joey Jordison from Slipknot.
Oh wow!
And a couple of other guys coming up and playing.
So they kind of swapped out drummers.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
man.
like they did an hour set, and they were like, "Lars isn't here; he's ill." And a big cheer went up. I think Metallica fans have been waiting to hear what Metallica sounds like without Lars Ulrich. It was great. You got Joey Jordison doing Seek and Destroy with all the double kick and everything, and stuff like that.
He's a monster, that guy. Yeah.
Well, he's just. I was just reading. He's had some sort of. He had MS or something like that.
Did he really?
Which is why I think he kind of left Slipknot.
Man, I know he left Slipknot and he formed another band who are now, I think, maybe split up again.
Yeah.
But it was a bit more of a kind of melodic route. I heard one of their songs. I can't remember specifically what their style was, but a mate of mine done a support slot for them at the Underworld, and he said Joe Jordison was really like just not interested in anything apparently.
Right.
Just came in because my mate loved him and wanted to like chat to him.
Sure, yeah.
And he just sort of sound checked, got straight on the tour bus. That was it.
Yeah. But do you know what? Those guys that have been touring that much, you think about how long Slipknot was. Like, it's.
They must get so jaded by it, seriously. Like,
and just knackered that travelling all the time, and they've got bills to pay and stuff. Like with Mastodon, I heard that when they were doing like one of their albums, like, because you always think like Mastodon now probably they probably sorted financially for life. I'd imagine, but there was a point where they when they just had couple of big albums, and I'm sure somebody told me that one of the guys was going back and working as a security guard at Walmart or something.
Really? No.
No, that might be bullshit. I had to check that.
It was probably Bill. That guy is like a mean-looking guy. Seriously, I didn't see him smile much. He's like proper like.
Yeah, the guy. He's still got the mohawk.
No, it's a bit shorter now, but he's still got that like handlebar tash.
You should have asked him. Is that ironic or is that a cool thing?
I tell you, it kind of ruined the veneer of what do you call it? Like the threatening veneer a little bit when I saw him come back in the venue with a Boots bag at some point, been to buy his like face cream or something. I don't know, but yeah, it made me chuckle a little bit. But
this is it. But they're guys, aren't they? They're adults. They've got bills to pay. They've got to try and keep themselves healthy. So it's not like I think nowadays bands are probably like just from being on the road with people that we've played with. You know that you can't go to McDonald's every day. You can't go have a kebab every day. You can't get smashed every day. Like
no.
When we go to jam nights, like that's actually where I met Dion. Dion is the house guitar player at the Marmalade Jam down in Hammersmith at the Smith Cocktail Bar, which is run by Chelsea, who's going to be on the podcast in a few weeks as well. And that's where I met you, and saw you playing some crazy fusion guitar solos, and I thought I'm gonna have to go and have a little look at some of this fusion stuff. But yeah, so but like none of the guys drink. Like, the most I've ever seen anybody have is a pint at a jam night or something like that.
Absolutely. I mean, to be honest, though, it's probably because everyone's really driving usually, aren't they?
Exactly, that's the thing. This job is like mostly driving with like interspersed with an hour of music and then another 3 hours drive. Totally. But I think it's one of the, I think in that kind of scene nowadays, as we've seen, a lot of people don't seem to get that smashed. Like it's quite, people take it quite seriously. Yeah, and I think it's a career and it's a job, and also it's not a thing where there's just. I think probably there's less work than there used to be, or the scene's not as big as, or there's not as much money. So you have to make sure, and the players are so good, like yourself. There's other guys that turn up, like Mac Douglas turned up at the jam when I was doing house band for you, and I always tell him, do you have to set fire to the amp every time you come and play and give me the guitar? Like, he always hands it over to me, Jimmy. Cheers, Mac. Oh, man. But yeah, you can't turn up and just be smashed and then expect to be able to follow somebody like that, or do some songs that you've never done before, or follow a singer who's not quite sure of the structure and stuff. Yeah,
exactly. It's just, you got to be careful, really, haven't you? Because you can make yourself look like a right dick, and it's just...
Yeah, you can do. I think one of the first jams I went to was the one that Natalie Palmer runs at the Basement Jam.
Yeah.
Went with you, well, and I think I'd had three or four pints.
Oh,
and got up to do I don't know, some neo soul song that I didn't know, and it was like, right,
is it like chord central, and you're just like, right?
Yeah, one of those. Just everything's a major seventh chord.
Yeah.
I don't know where this is going. But yeah, so like that was straight away. I was like, right, you can't be doing this.
Yeah.
What I was going to ask you, Dion. So how did you get started in music? Like, how old are you at the moment?
I'm 25. I turned 25 last weekend.
Yeah, that's all right. That's not as like some people that I talk to on this scene are like 22, 21. Like Sam was on. I'm 31. So.
Who cares, man? Who cares? It doesn't matter at the end of the day. Yeah.
But I just remember what I was playing at 24, 25, and like the level of stuff, and being outside of London as well, you don't get the exposure to the level of the players like every night that you do down here. Like me and Tim, we went to the Troy Bar, didn't we, the other day? Mm-hmm. And we saw like the Neo Soul Jam. Have you been there?
Oh yeah, is that the Wednesday one or Tuesday one?
Tuesday one. The Wednesday's the Fusion one. So the Tuesday one down at Troy Bar is Neo Soul, and it's like if you get there after 9 o'clock, you can't get in. It's packed.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
consistently kind of every week.
Every week. Yeah, and. But the level of musicians is incredible. Like if you knew some, like they didn't have a guitar player this week, did they? But,
really? Oh wow.
No. But like so the keys player, I think it's called Oscar. I haven't met him yet, but
yeah, I know Oscar. Yeah. He's an absolute monster.
Yeah.
Man.
So the singers would turn up and say, "Oh, I'm going to sing my own song today." So the band, hopefully you can follow it, and they'd sing like 2 bars, and Oscar would already have like all these kind of
reharms and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. They already have it all sorted out.
Yeah.
So if you want to be involved with that level of play, you just cannot be. You can't be smashed. But anyway, so how did you start off? You were saying you went to ICMP.
I did, yeah. So I kind of started playing when I was about 9. Just got one of those crappy 3/4 like classical guitars. Yeah. Sacked that off after a couple of years and got a Squire Strat, as everyone does. Yeah. Sort of discovered, rock and metal and stuff like that. Played that through my teenage years, went to ICMP, came out the other end of that, just sort of wasted my time for kind of a year just working in like a crappy sort of Weatherspoons, and then just thought, no, I'm sick of this now. I just want to do this full time. So, and then managed to do it. So I'm really, really pleased. Yeah,
that's awesome. And you're killing it at the moment. I'd say like to end up, I don't know it's your mate's band, but still to end up on a gig where you're supporting Mastodon is something most people give the right arm for.
No, I'm really, I'm so happy that they asked me to do it, because I've been as I said, I've sort of been out of that style for a little while. Yeah. So it was really nice to sort of, and I kind of missed it. I realised how much I missed that, man.
Yeah, it's so cool. Like when you're playing, is it 2 guitar, double guitar?
Yeah, it's 2. Yeah.
When you've got that going and you've got the full band, do you tune standard or are you tuning down? Or?
That's what I was going to say. It's drop B flat. Yeah, so it's like awesome. Properly like chunky.
Did you have like a 6-string or did you have like a baritone? Or?
No, it was the 6-string. It was what was I using? My Jackson. It's like an SL2 Pro. Yeah. Just sort of like a soloist shaped Jackson.
Yeah. So what size strings are you using on that?
Oh man, I was. This is what. Yeah, this was a proper like. I've got. I think it was 13 or 12 to 60 initially, and it still felt a bit too flappy. And I was like, so I got these special ones. I can't remember the brand name. It's got like a spider on the front of it.
Right, that sounds metal.
Yeah,
that sounds like the right brand of strings.
Totally. And it was like 13 to 65. So the bottom string was a
goodness.
65, and I was like, yeah, this is better. Because the guitar I was using had a Floyd Rose as well, so it was a little bit, and it wasn't blocked off, so I had to obviously set it up again and stuff. But it was it's so cool. We were using orange Rockaverb amps, so it was like pretty, pretty chunky.
Can you give us any of a riff from the stuff that you were doing?
Oh,
I'm putting you on the spot here.
All right, I tell you what.
Oh, here we go.
I'll have to go into drop D because there's no way this
when I'm talking to people, I always forget that they're supposed to be playing some music as well.
Yeah. Let me think. So they got one tune. It's kind of it starts off with just like, I think it's the last one in the set. It's called Angel in Disgrace. Yeah. But bear in mind, it's in drop B flat. It basically starts off and it's like. And then it goes like dun 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 dun. It's like proper and then it kicks in. That sort of thing. It's proper
and it's got that Mastodon feel to it as well. Just straight up. That was always used to be the thing, like with that sort of riff, like you can write those sort of riffs till the cows come home, and they always sound great. That kind of, it's kind of like a Phrygian sort of thing.
Yeah,
brilliant. And you got the two guitars as well, so you're getting like the harmonies. And,
totally. There's quite a lot of dual lead stuff going on, sort of Maiden influence and stuff. But it's kind of cool. What I like about them is that they tune to drop B flat, and they got that really kind of heavy, sort of chunky modern sound. But there's no kind of screamed vocals on it. It's all kind of melodic. So they're quite modern bullety sort of sounding. Do you know Parkway Drive? Have you heard of them?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
They're kind of like Parkway Drive, but with melodic vocals, because Parkway are very, sort of screamy, aren't they? But
See, that's what I always like about Pantera and Anselmo. Like, he could turn from the screaming. I'm not sure if he can still do it really, but like if you listen to Pantera or Down, like there's a lot of screaming, but then there's a lot of melodic kind of gruff vocal, if you like, as well at the same time. And I think you do have to have that Mastodon same thing. Have you seen the video? It's from back in the day when Mastodon were like, I think the Blood Mountain album or something like that, and they were they sit there playing live, and Brent, the guitar player, comes up and just does this vocal, and the thing goes. And like everybody in the band looks at him.
That guy is like a law unto himself, though. Honestly, apparently he's just mental. The rest of them are fairly reserved, and he's just like this crazy dude. Like he's so cool. He's like they're really cool though, man. Yeah.
But I think it's important to balance that melodic and the scream thing, because if you've got the scream thing, unless there was a band that I like, again, a Phil Anselmo band called Superjoint Ritual. Have you ever listened to them?
No, I don't.
Never really that big. I don't think they even really toured over here. But it was all kind of like, it's kind of hardcore, but in a kind of like hardcore punk thing. And he was just screaming in it, and it was in the days when he was pretty big and out of it and all that sort of thing.
But he died or something, didn't he? But then was revived. Like,
if you want to be a proper rock star, you've got to like Slash died about 8 times.
Like Nikki Sixx as well. People like that, I think, died. And now they're back with us, so it's pretty amazing, really. They must have the constitution of an ox. Like seriously, it's insane. Like
Keith Richards is still going.
Yeah. It's mad.
My dad actually, he denies this, but the band, I had my dad on the last podcast, the band that he started off with in the 60s, he was about 15, I think, at the time. It might have been when they were a bit older, but they were on like when the Rolling Stones and Kinks and stuff were starting off, they were on a similar circuit.
Okay.
And my dad denies this, which is weird, but the bass player and the singer are adamant that this happened, that they played a gig with the Rolling Stones.
Really?
And they were on one of these revolving stages.
Yeah.
And they were on the opposite side of the stage, which is why my dad, who's, I don't know, he's not with it half the time, I think. He's like,
is that the sort of style of music that he plays then? Is it kind of quite rocky?
But he plays this, like, if you ever look at the podcast, he's got this thing where he plays with his fingers, so it's fingerstyle on the electric.
Yeah. But I caught a glimpse of that, actually. It was really cool.
It's like Chuck Berry sort of stuff, but he's kind of these orchestrated parts where it's like everything's a double stop, like there's never any single string or anything like that. And I don't know if he was still doing that when he was doing that back in the day, but and then apparently they had a drink with the Rolling Stones.
Oh, wow.
Which my dad denies this, and I don't know why you would even deny it. If you can't remember it,
maybe
just
he
go
didn't remember
with
it. Exactly. Yeah.
But he said it didn't happen. The bass player's adamant, and the Rolling Stones gave him a card and said, "Oh, you guys good? Check get in touch with our management in London." And because like the Rolling Stones weren't that big at the time, it was when they were starting off. if you believe the story. They kind of didn't take any notice of it and just like, oh, whatever, these guys or whatever. And then obviously like later on saw them. But they used to like bump into the Kinks and stuff like that.
Oh, wow.
And all that sort of thing.
Is this before kind of, as you said, before these bands really hit it big?
Yeah. So I was thinking about what I'm terrible with the years and stuff, but it would have been the 60s, early mid-60s, something like that.
I would say so, maybe, probably early to mid,
But you're asking me about this guitar. This guitar is a 80s Japanese Squire as well, which I actually got off my dad, and he put a new neck on it. So if you know anything about Squires from the 80s, the Japanese ones, they were actually, I think they got bought by Fender. Someone's going to correct me on this eventually and tell me that I'm totally wrong, but I think Fender ended up buying them because the copies were too good. The Squire copy that the Japanese were doing were too good, and then and then that's where Fender started to own them, because there's a lot of like lawsuit versions around that time as well.
They're really sought after now. You know, both the basses and the guitars, like the Japanese Squires.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
My dad's he's got a Fender one, and it's the neck. You can tell the difference. I think it is. I prefer to play it. It's easier to play.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is like, it's had some new pickups and it's had this new neck and...
it's really nice though, yeah. What's the neck on it? Is it like a Walmart or something? Or?
No, it's a guitar maker from Penistone, which is a place in the north that you might never have come across. As we call it up north, Penis Town.
I was about to say, I was going to make that joke and I was like, oh, actually, should I?
Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah, I'm not above making that joke. Yeah, and it's this old guitar maker who just kind of... I don't know where he got it from. I don't know if he made it himself or whatever, but he might be a Walmart one. It might be. But it's nice enough. It's like it's maple. I always prefer the maple.
Yeah,
necks.
I was about to ask you. Are you more of a maple guy or a Rosewood?
Yeah, I think so. For Fenders, I think it's just kind of like, you don't see as much nowadays as well, I don't think.
On tellies, more so, I think, because of that twang and stuff. But for Strats, as you say, it's often, I mean, this is Rosewood and stuff. So, yeah.
It's
and
beautiful.
obviously, like Les Pauls and stuff are all like Rosewood and whatnot.
Yeah.
So.
You've got quite a nice guitar collection from what I remember. I've seen a picture on Facebook. Tell us what you've got.
So, let me think. Right, so I've got, obviously, this is sort of first choice. This is number one. Fender American Standard Strat. A couple of modifications. I just put some Sir pickups in it.
Oh yeah.
And then a DiMarzio tone zone on the bridge. As you know, for a function, you want, for the rocky Bon Jovi-esque, Guns N' Roses stuff, you want a bit of chunk. So that's really cool. But it's got coil tap. So I'm not crazy about the sound when it's single coil, but it just it is a little, it's another option.
Well, I think a lot of guys don't use. Unless you're kind of, I don't know, I suppose doing country or something like that, but a lot of guys don't really use the bridge pickup on a Strat single coil thing anyway, so you might as well, I suppose, have that in there and you sacrifice a bit of the tone on a single coil sound. But
yeah, I mean, position 2 is really nice, obviously, for that sort of cluck. It sounds great. But yeah, other ones...
what does position 2 sound like when it's not coil tap?
When it's not... Oh, in fact, let me just... So you've got...
Yeah, and when it is coil tapped?
It's just a little bit sort of thinner sounding.
Yeah. Oh, it's beautiful sound either way, definitely. Position 2 is always, I always do like the out of phase sounds, but I'm trying to use the more but like we've got in here today, like it's like you've got these grounding issues, like I don't know.
Yeah, it's very noisy.
If you have it on the single coil, you get the hum. I don't know if it's going to come across, but get it out of phase. You got that, and I actually really like the out of phase kind of like.
Yeah,
it's got that kind. It gives you that funk thing, especially on the neck.
Exactly. Yeah,
it's just like for my ear, that I prefer that sort of sound on a Strat.
No, definitely, it's that classic Strat tone, isn't it? That's what it's all about. I mean, the problem that I have, I don't know if you find the same thing. That out of phase sound, I feel like it doesn't quite cut through as much as I like. Yeah. So I always really just use the neck, but it sounds wicked. Like it is really good, but it's just, I don't know. Like if you're recording something, it sounds amazing because obviously you can just
for sure. And you get the out of phase ones is the kind of sound that you can only really get on the Strat, because otherwise you're getting kind of almost similar sounds on a telly, I suppose, if you're getting the other ones as well. So other guitars, what have you got?
So I've got this. I've got another Strat, which was kind of like a parts caster, Japanese Fender body, which was like relict. It's just a black one. Humbucker in the bridge, which was a Mojo humbucker. I can't remember what it was, but anyway, that's the other Strat. I've got a telly, just another American standard.
I nearly bought a telly the other day, but it was just too far because couldn't drive that far. I didn't realise how far away it was, but it was beautiful.
Whereabouts was it?
It was in Portsmouth.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like an hour and a half, 2 hours
Yeah.
sort of drive, and I had some stuff to do that day. But
What was it? What was the spec on it?
it was just an American, just
Yeah.
a standard American Telecaster. It was blonde.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
And it was like 600 quid or something like that.
Wow. Yeah.
So like I was thinking,
Yeah, you should have gone for it, mate. Like,
I know,
it's
I
still
should
there.
have
Let's go now. Let's go get it.
it'll come back again. Like I shouldn't have been buying guitars at that point anyway. But it just like if that had been London, I would have had it.
Yeah. Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't turn down something like that if it's nearby. Yeah.
No, and I had a Telecaster, but it was like it turned out to be a bit of a dog. It wasn't like it looked amazing. It was this kind of sea foam blue green sort of thing. It's kind of like that, but it was
Daphne blue sort of, yeah.
Yeah, but it was satin, not satin. It was it wasn't not gloss. What's it called? What do you call it? It's not gloss.
Matte. Do you
Matte,
mean?
yeah, it was matte, and then it was relic and like faded and stuff like that. It looked absolutely beautiful. And it sounded all right, but it just was like it was never quite right, and the neck was not
Just way off whack.
Yeah, and this
Yeah,
guitar tech said to me like, probably get rid of that.
Really? Yeah.
Yes, I did.
It's a non-saver, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So okay, so you got the telly as well. You got Les Paul.
Yeah. It's just a Les Paul Studio. That was actually my first like decent sort of electric. And I've got I've got a Peerless Songbird, which is kind of like an Epiphone Casino type guitar. So it's got the P90s, complete hollow body.
Is that your jazz guitar?
I actually do have flat wounds on it, so I try and play jazz on it, but I'm not. I really enjoy.
Dude, you did the George Benson video the other day. That was amazing. Tell us about that. What was that you were doing?
So I do some teaching through this kind of it's sort of like an online service called Your Guitar Academy. Space. They've got kind of tutors throughout the country, but we sort of teach from home, but use their kind of online curriculum. So it's kind of a nice.
That's awesome. Yeah. So is that a Skype lesson sort of thing?
Well, we can do Skype lessons. Mostly it's one-on-one.
Right. Okay. So the student comes around to your house, but you're using this curriculum.
Yeah, and it's kind of all done on. It's like paperless. We just sort of send the stuff via the system. They have their own login and stuff. But I cover. It's done in like boroughs. So me and one other guy, my friend Ryan, do Ealing.
Okay.
Because that's where I live. But and yeah, they're basically starting a new kind of online area.
Right.
Where they do like player studies.
Yeah.
So they've done kind of like John Mayer, Dave Gilmour, one of the other guys did Van Halen, people like that, and they kind of wanted a few other kind of different ones. So I said, I'd like to give George Benson a go, without really thinking, and then I was like,
words.
Yeah. After I said it, I was like, actually, that is going to be really hard. So, but I just sort of sat down and just listened. I mean, I love George Benson. I have for a long time, but the guy is just. He's just amazing. He's got his own kind of identity and his own sort of voice on the guitar.
Incredible. Yeah. So I was good to see that you didn't scat it as well.
Mate, I might. Yeah, you never know.
How do we find the video? What was the? Because what you did is you listened to some George Benson and you created like your own solo in the style of.
Yeah.
And it was so. I was listening to it. It was like so close. It was so well done.
Thank you, man.
Somebody like you wouldn't call yourself a jazzer either, would you?
No.
Like I definitely would not call myself a jazzer,
No.
but for that, is to my ears at least, it was really really accurate. Like I was super impressed with that.
I appreciate that.
What were you listening to kind of research that, and what was the kind of thinking behind it? What ideas that George Benson uses did you try and put in?
Well, that's one of the things, because obviously with the video lesson I haven't actually recorded it yet. I'm doing it next week, but I have to obviously explain kind of blow by blow what's going on, what kind of devices that he uses, and I just wanted to make it as vocal as possible. Just really imagine him kind of scatting over it, and also just how kind of he's just so rhythmic with his solo. I mean, that's something that I love. You know,
it's like got that kind of gaps and changes and like plays in fives and stuff like that.
Exactly, and that's something that I try and apply to my own playing as well. I kind of don't necessarily always think, right, I've got to shoehorn this arpeggio over this chord or this scale. I just like to make it interesting rhythmically. But it's still something I'm working on. It's tough, but it's...
Dude, we're all working on it. It's like golf, it never ends, you never get the perfect round.
This is it. This is it. You never stop learning.
Do you know what I recently, like we've talked about this before, and we're both kind of fans, we said it as well. UFC 202 is coming up.
Ooh, can't wait.
Like, I can't... it's hard for me to find UFC fans, and I've only recently got... like properly into watching it. But when I'm watching like some of the training videos, like I've been watching like a lot of Nate Diaz and Conor McGregor training videos and stuff like that, and how they're thinking about it, because they've got all these different areas of martial arts and fighting that they're trying to get into the thing that they're obviously the stakes are really high when they get in a cage, a bit higher than a gig, like you can get your head kicked in, but they're putting together, just like we are, like you're talking about, Benson, what's the devices that you use there, what's that style?
Yeah, for sure.
They're pulling that into the fighting thing, and it's like there's a similarity, definitely, there's a parallel for sure, in terms of the thought process of how you're going to get all of these to come into your own style. And all the fighters do end up with their own style, even if they're doing Gracie kind of jiu-jitsu or particular style of
freestyle wrestling or what. Yeah, absolutely.
So and I do think that there's a parallel there between for that with the guitar, because you've got so many areas. Like as I say, when I first came to London and started going to jam nights, seeing yourself and other players and stuff, there's the fusion side of it, and you've got to kind of figure out how you're going to get the fusion stuff in and who the players are for that. And you listen to, like I was talking to, Christian Mendoza. He plays at Chiro's Jam a lot, and he does a lot of work with Patrick Allen and stuff. Cool guy. But he was like going off about Scott Henderson to me, like a massive Scott Henderson
fan. I love
fan,
Scott.
so,
Yeah, he's good. Yeah.
So that's quite a new world to me. So I've been looking at that. But then you're like, you want to get all like kind of all the stuff to do with kind of harmony and different ways that you can like substitute chords and make your chord progressions more interesting, all the different voicings and all that sort of thing. There's so many like areas and styles that you're trying to put in, and I do get that like parallel with the UFC thing, so it's quite interesting to watch.
I've actually never really thought about that before, but it's a really, really good point, and it's actually trying to not only bring them all together, but to make them kind of cohesive and work, as one, because that's what MMA is all about. It's mixed martial arts. So literally, as you've seen, McGregor is literally a striker. I mean, people kind of rip him for his grappling, but he's better than people give him credit for.
He grapples shit out of me.
Yeah, this is it. He's way, way better than people give him credit for. Obviously, he's not as the kind of level as Nate is on the mat. Nate is a jiu-jitsu black belt, long-time jiu-jitsu black belt. But it's, I can't wait, man. It's an interesting fight.
Who's your money on?
Oh, do you know what? I was talking to my brother about this the other day, and I've kind of stopped making UFC predictions because I always get it wrong. But if someone had a gun to my head and said, right, who's going to win? I'd probably have to say Nate. I think he'll do it again. I love Conor McGregor. Like, I really love that guy. But I hope I eat my words. I mean, this coming Saturday, by the time this podcast is up, I'm sure we'll know the result.
Unless I get it out this week and then Yeah, I think it's weird, isn't it? Because I don't really know much about MMA. I just like watching it and stuff. But the people I was saying, talking about, and when I watched the first fight as well, it's like, I can't see what pathway McGregor's going to take to win. Like, is he going to hit him harder? Like, is that what he's going to? Because he knackered himself out there in the first round, didn't he? And he was like, there's a look on his face where he was like, he was like, oh man, I just literally hit him with everything, and he just grinned at me. That's the thing about the Diaz brothers, though. They're just they're like heads are made of rock. They just don't get knocked out. I think Nate's been TKO'd once, and that was from a head kick. But he wasn't even out. He was like fine. It was obviously it was a fair stoppage, but it was. Well, I think McGregor just has to try and just pepper his body, take it the distance, win on points, because I don't know. It's going to have to be like a kind of really controlled thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know much about it, but that's what the people are saying, because Nate's boxing's great, and then, and then obviously if you want to start grappling him, as he says, like, everybody thinks they're a wrestler now.
Exactly. I remember McGregor said that before the first fight. He said, people turn into panicked wrestlers when they fight me. They go for the takedown. But then ironically, he ended up doing that to Diaz. So, and then
when it happened, you're like, oh.
Yeah, I know. I was really gutted, but at the same time, I really like Nate as well. So I was like, this is fine. Like, it's cool. Like, it's all good. But
no, it's good. We're going to have to watch a fight at some point. Like, we'll get together and watch a fight. Because I used to watch, like, not massively, but I used to watch bits of boxing and stuff like that. Watch old classic fights and stuff. And when there's a big fight on, I'd always be looking for someone to watch that with. But to be honest, you watch a boxing match, you can watch it all night and not see anybody get knocked out.
I know, it's just a bit like...
it's different.
I feel like you're really on the edge of your seat with MMA, because it's like literally anything can happen.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you've been following it much kind of this year, but the amount of like upsets that there have been.
The Miesha Tate with Holly Holm was incredible, that one, because she just knocked Ronda Rousey out and stuff.
And I mean, look at Bisping with Rockhold. Like, I don't think anyone saw that coming. Like, and I love Bisping. Like, that was probably my favourite MMA moment. Yeah, exactly.
I remember seeing him on The Ultimate Fighter back in the day, where he was like, I remember being like, he'd be the guy who was supposed to be fighting, he'd be looking at like all the Americans like walking around super serious, and he'd be like shouting across, going, calling a guy, now then, you dickhead.
Yeah.
Call him a dickhead.
You dickhead, mate. You're a dickhead. Yeah, I love how antagonistic he is, though. At the weigh-ins, he's always like pointing at them properly, riling them up. It's so funny. Oh, good.
But that's cool. It's like this is what I'm saying for me, like, as well. Like, to find people like when I came down to London, to find like a group of people who were kind of like-minded and stuff, and then find people you can go watch a football match or watch like watch UFC with. It's a really nice vibe among the people who are down here doing this sort of scene. And there's areas of the scene that obviously I don't know, like I haven't met everybody or anything like that, but everyone I've met so far has been super cool and great players and just really kind of inspirational in terms of like you go and watch somebody at a jam. They come out with all this stuff that you haven't learned, and you have a checklist, right?
Exactly.
Sort that out and figure it out.
And that's what it's all about, isn't it? You go there, well, not only to kind of meet people and just make friends and stuff, but you want to get a bit of, and I think too many people view it as kind of competition and stuff, when it's just like, man, everyone is friendly, we're all friends. You can learn off each other so much, and it's just...
And there's so many gigs going on, like over this summer, like you'll have had the same with me, like just every day, like getting like dates you're already booked for, can you do this, can you do that? And so with some great players as well, it's not just kind of run-of-the-mill kind of stuff. And we're all doing the same thing, like we're all doing a mixture of functions and artists and all that other stuff and acoustic gigs and all this sort of thing.
Totally.
So there isn't really a kind of... there's no snobbery going around, because even the top... Like, I know some super top guys who still go and do a wedding. Like, or I might have depped for on a wedding, or they've depped for me on a wedding and stuff like that.
But that's the secret, is just to not just to take everything as it comes. I mean, if you start turning down work, I really don't think that's a really good idea.
No, you can't do that. When I was up north, I was getting a little bit to a point where, because I was just doing a lot of wedding functions and stuff like that, and I was mostly depping for other people. It was like, it could have almost gone down that thing of like, right, the gigs are boring, there's not that much inspiration, I'm just going to get drunk or get and a lot of guys who are good players go down that road because they're not in a scene that's pushing them. Whereas when I came here, as I said, I made a special point when I found out where the jams were to make sure I went to them. And that's one of the main things you get out of it, is that inspiration, that kick up the arse of like, I'm going to have to raise my game and stuff. What are you working on at the moment, musically, like guitar-wise? What's your kind of... What's your approach to kind of developing your guitar playing?
I just sort of like to play, as many different styles as possible. I mean, that sounds really cliche, but just to be fair, I'm quite lazy with practicing. I don't really. I mean, everyone's the same, aren't they? When you're gigging all the time and stuff, and you get a bit complacent and stuff, and you're set in your ways. But as I said, I've been working on a lot of improvisation and stuff like that recently.
I think that's one of the main things as guitar players. Like you've got most of the other stuff. It's not like you're going to have to practice most of the songs that you're going to play that much, because it's like the songs are the songs. It's a bunch of chords that you've played before and stuff like that. So the improvisation thing is... You've got, I think you've got, that's your voice, isn't it? You're working on your voice sort of thing. So what are you looking at with the improvisation at the moment? Because I'm interested, because I'm doing the same thing, and any ideas I can steal off you, for sure.
Well,
do.
Like I said before, I just think I don't like to be afraid of kind of, just playing a bit simpler sometimes and just concentrating more on the actual rhythm, as opposed to just trying to blaze over something. I mean, I'm not really that good at that anyway, but just when
that's not true. I've seen him blaze over things. It's amazing.
No, I'm so out of practice with that. I mean, I used to be really heavily into my picking and stuff, but now I've really regressed, and it's a lot more legato and stuff like that.
Same, exactly the same. Because that's the thing in the metal, you always had that kind of like, this is going to be a mess now, isn't it? But like all that kind of...
Yeah, exactly. That whole kind of John Petrucci rock discipline.
Like kind of alternate picking, like sort of thing. Sounds better with distortion and not on a strap.
Absolutely. I used to work so much though on like down picking and stuff, didn't obviously that metal. It helped so much just playing like.
That's the one for down picking. It was always because it's so fast for the down picking. Oh
man, and I got to a point where like I was happily be able to play that all the way through without losing kind of my arm getting tired. And I tried it the other day and I was like, oh, this is horrible now.
It's when it gets to that, what they call a spiral.
Yeah. That's the bit. And you just try and battle through it and it's savage, isn't it? It's so savage.
Hetfield is an absolute monster.
That guy.
The other one that was
Battery. Yeah. There you go.
does Hetfield do this? Because I always tried to figure out was it just the kick drum that did it, or whether it was Hetfield. Like, and then it goes into that bit.
Which part is that?
Like later on in the kind of bridge sort of thing.
Okay.
But yeah, that was another one of those. Like, you put Master of Puppets on and try and keep up with that on your rhyme. Like, by the end of it, you're like a...
Yeah, like Popeye or something.
That was awesome. Yeah, what was I going to say about the improvisation?
Yeah,
I was talking to. So I'm learning stuff with that all the time. Like one of my friends gave me, and a lot of guitar players probably know about this, and keyboard players and stuff. But it's called the Jazz Theory book, and it's a big book you can get off.
Is it that big spiral bound one?
Yeah. And one of the first things I learned after that, because I never did any jazz courses or anything like that. But I was saying to you before, it's mind blowing for me because I was a bit like, I get the idea of playing over 2-5-1s, and you can have you get the door. You can think of it as the Dorian, and then the Mixolydian, and then the Ionian, or you can think of it all as the major scale or whatever.
Yeah.
I was like, well, that doesn't give, or you can think of it as the arpeggios, but that doesn't give you the jazzy sound.
No.
I'm going straight from battery to into talking about jazz. But yeah, so I read in it. It said. Use a Phrygian on the
7th,
on
the 5 chord rather,
on the 5 chord, on the dominant 7th, and straight away you got that jazz sound. Because
do you want me to give you a 2-5-1?
Watch, I'm gonna make a mess of this.
Key of C, all right, or cool.
Key of C, perfect.
And what kind of?
Yeah, pretty steady.
Nice, yeah.
I'm still learning it, so.
No, it's cool, yeah. Yeah.
Do you want to try it?
Yeah.
Takes a little bit of brain training at first.
I like whole tone as well.
Oh yeah.
But it's one of those scales. It's really hard to make it sound musical.
Yeah.
You just end up going when it comes on. And it sounds cool, but it's just like you're just running a scale. So again, that's something I'm working on. But yeah, it's
that Phrygian thing is straight away that.
Yeah, it's
straight away gives you that kind of out in.
And that's why it's sort of that tension and release sort of sound. Yeah.
But I was obviously not a jazzer, but that was like mind blowing. That's like 4 pages into that book. So if you want to get some of that kind of outplaying and understand what it is that you're doing rather than just playing wrong notes, which is what I've tried in the past.
Yeah. That's that old classic thing. Oh, jazz is just playing wrong notes, isn't it?
Have you heard the what is it, the what's the Spinal Tap when they're talking about jazz?
Oh, Matt, do you know what? I haven't seen that film, and I absolutely adore that film, but I haven't seen it in so long. Yeah.
An interview where they're talking about, it's like more recent, they're talking about like jazz, like, why are you playing so quietly? What are you so scared of? We like to play, when we play a song, we like to play at the right notes, loud.
I love it, the scene when they go through airport security and he's got the cucumber, is it, down his pants? And obviously, hello, Cleveland. And they're backstage getting lost. Oh, it's brilliant.
I do. I've had moments like that getting lost backstage.
I
think they followed Saxon around for that.
Really?
To research that. And Saxon are from Barnsley, which is near where I'm from.
Oh, okay.
And my favourite moment in there's a documentary about them making it, or the heavy metal world or whatever it was, and the bass player from Saxon said he developed that kind of just open A sort of bass line.
Yeah.
So he could do that.
Oh, I see.
Like that's totally Spinal Tap, in it. Yeah.
Just pedal on that note and just give him the horns. That's what
exactly. So that's where that kind of like 80s kind of metal, that's everything's in A.
Oh mate,
or E.
It's great though, isn't it? It's just, it is what it is, and they don't try and hide it. That's what I love about it. It's just like, man, we're just gonna go for it though.
Yeah, perfect. I think it's 2 versions of Saxon now. I think there's like,
there's the guy's name and then Saxon, and then there's
Oliver or something like that. Yeah.
And then there's just regular Saxon. Yeah.
But yeah, so
let's pedal on the A. That's what it's about. Yeah.
Let's play a Phrygian over that.
Yeah. Play everything, all the notes over it. That's it. Perfect.
What? Okay. So, what what else you've been looking at in terms of guitar recently? You're working on the improvisation. So when you're working on the improvisation, what areas is it that you're looking to develop? Because you strike me as a guy who's got a pretty rounded game in terms of like, I think it's good to come from the metal world because you do get that dexterity with the picking.
Yeah.
And the kind of finger blazing, if you want, with the legato and all that sort of stuff. You've obviously got your head around the kind of jazz stuff. Where do you pick up the jazz ideas? Was that from uni or was that from?
Yeah, I mean, the thing with studying music in that, you know, to that level, it was kind of like, because it was a very broad course, it was, you know, sort of dipping in. You never really got to look at it extensively, kind of each section, so it was sort of dipping in and out. But the good thing was it sort of planted that seed for you to want to go, right, I'm going to go and check this out.
And so where did you look at to find this sort of stuff? YouTube? Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah. It was just kind of like you know, just finding these different guys that play in that sort of style. Guys, as you mentioned earlier, like Scott Henderson. I love John Schofield. He's amazing. And I've spoken to you about him before. That guy Osnoy.
Yes, yeah, I'd listened to his album and you told me about that. He's got a weird tone. It's like it's kind of like a kind of abrasive tone on purpose almost. Yeah, that's it. I mean, the interesting thing about him is he comes from like a strict like bebop background, so he's very but he now plays a Strat. And his kind of his whole bag is like what he calls twisted blues, which is kind of playing, you know, this fusion-y jazz stuff over blues forms, and it just sounds so. He's really like, they call him the Wizard of Weird. It sounds really like quirky, very much like Henderson and Schofield, but he's great. He's really, really good. Absolute monster as well. Like, man, he can. Another one of those guys, Mike Stern as well, isn't it? Yeah, Mike Stern. I listen to some of his stuff as well. Yeah. In fact, there's a fusion jam on a Wednesday night that does all of these sorts of tunes, and they've got a set list. It's down at the Troy Bar on Wednesday night. And one of my aims is at some point to have a look at some of those songs and actually learn them and figure out what's going on and be able to go down, and because at the moment you go down there, I'm like, I'd rather do Sissy Strut or something. Classic, good old Sissy Strut. But that's the only song off their list I think I'd know how to do at the moment. But they do. I've not been down to that one yet, but I've heard they play some pretty like heavy duty fusion-y stuff. Well, the first few times that I went down to that, like it was before I knew the rest of the jazz jam scene, sort of thing. And I hadn't really been to any other jam nights in London. And the first 40 minutes is the house band. And obviously they're just incredible. So there's like a couple of there's like music student types with their gig bags sat there. Just, I know some of the guys now in the band and they're totally cool, but at first it kind of felt like it's an hour of scaring the crap out of the guys. It is intimidating though, isn't it? It is a bit intimidating, but they're not like that. When you actually talk to them, like the drummer's called Mike, isn't he? Mike Horn, legend, and Sam the bass player as well. I met him the other day. Top lads, and they're super cool. And and I don't think they'd be judgmental at all. But no, I meant more the kind of vibe of the kind of jam. You know, because they're such good players. Like whenever you get a situation where the players are that good, you're gonna be like, if you're not intimidated, you should go and figure some stuff out. Exactly. I mean, but it's, as we said, it's all part of the learning curve, isn't it? Just continuing to learn off these people. There's another guy I was going to ask you about, Nashville guy. Is it Brent Mason? Not Brent Mason, but he's cool. Sean Tubbs. Yeah. Man, that guy is so. I transcribed his. Do you want to give it a go? One of his videos recently. So it's basically like it's in just like a sort of C blues, and it's like. So we so he goes. And then, God, it's like. So that's when he would change to the 4 there. So it's like, and then. Back to the 1. Yep. I've forgotten it. Okay, now 5 to 4, so like. Just really balls out. And then he does some like crazy like pentatonic speed thing at the end. I've nicked a couple of his licks. I'm going to balls it up as well. So let me. I don't even know what the backing for it is, but he got this one lick where it's like. I tried to play this before I made her titting myself out of it, but it's because what he's doing is he's putting these chromatic jazz ideas into this kind of basic blues country sort of feel. And it's so unique. Like it sounds just amazing. Like, I suppose it's like an E7. But let's get that dirt off. That sort of thing. Yeah. See if I can. Oh, nice. Something like that. Nice. And then,
wicked, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's all like kind of like they've got this chromatic stuff, and I butchered that as well. It's hard when you've got cameras and lights.
It is, yeah. When the mic was there, it's kind of difficult. But yeah, no, it's.
But yeah, it's like like that one. So we've got this weird ground sound in. I don't know if it's going to come across, but yeah. So he's got.
That's a beautiful lick.
It's pretty cool. I wish I could take credit for it, but it's not. It's his. But it's like that. That's the idea of it. The rest of it's just. That's what makes it sound chromatic.
Yeah,
The rest of it is just a Mixolydian sort of.
Yeah, and it's obviously over that E7. Yeah. Ooh, it's so nice. But I heard, I think someone did an interview with him once, and apparently he said he doesn't really think about any of that when he's playing. He just sort of does it. Like, and it's just.
I think that's bullshit.
What a total monster. Yeah, absolute beast.
Well, tell us about the lick. Just break down one of the bits of the licks that you did, because we've only got about probably 5 minutes left.
That's cool. Yeah, so it's like. So it's sort of over that C dominant 7. So it's kind of touching on that Phrygian thing that you mentioned earlier. But again, like, it lands on the 3rd, and then on that's the 13, is it? So. And then bends obviously into that minor 3rd into the.
That's what I get from it. Like when you actually look at it, it isn't that complicated what he's doing, but
he's so fluid and concise. That's what makes it sound amazing.
Oh yeah, it's like twice as quick as what I did it as well.
Yeah.
So on the start of the one that I know, it's again it's got that Phrygian.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. It's not so that good. Tricky, like theory-wise, but I would never ever try and start a lick like that.
No.
That one there.
Oh, that's nice.
But none of it is that complicated, like that there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Probably think of it like that. So on because on like an E7, I might go.
Yeah.
Like a diminished.
Like a diminished,
thing. So it's kind of that Phrygian thing.
Yeah.
Blues. And none of it's actually that complicated when you look at it, but when you hear it and you hear him playing it at the top speed that he's doing, you're like.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I try and take one of his a month and try and learn a little bit of it, because to try and figure all that out in one go is just going to be
beastly, isn't it? But it's about. I always say it's not what you play; it's how you play it, and it's just his delivery is so good. Like,
for sure.
He's another. I think he's really so pinpoint with his kind of subdivisions and his rhythms and stuff like that. It just sounds phenomenal. That's what he does, and his tone as well.
It looks effortless. Yeah, the tone, because he's got this amazing interface, hasn't he? As well, I think when he. What's it called now? It's got something with X in it. It's a two input preamp, I think, and it cost about 1,300 quid or whatever.
Oh, okay.
But it's a super high quality, and I think a lot of it comes from that
pristine sort of sound.
Because when you listen to those videos, I mean, they sound like he's obviously doing a lot. I mean, he does a lot of sessions, and he's obviously probably does some of it from home. So he's got this incredible gear.
Yeah,
he's got the ribbon mic and
the Royer or something. Yeah, Royer R121.
And the thing he's doing is actually, if you look on YouTube, Sean Tubbs, he does these. They're basically demos for overdrive pedals, aren't they?
Yeah,
and they're really in depth and stuff, but I don't think you can get most from over here. I think they're quite boutique sort of pedals as well.
Yeah. Lots of I mean, he does like Petty John brands like that, which I'm not too familiar with, but I'd imagine, as you say, they're quite.
Would be
quite
a nice
boutique
job to do. Do you ever used to watch Pro Guitar Shop demos?
Yes,
Andy
I did.
Hey, I'm Andy from ProGuitarShop.com. I used to watch those all the time.
I love the Premier Guitar rig rundowns as well. Have you seen those? They're so good. Yeah. They're addictive as well. Like, I've ended up watching like so many in a row of those, and it's just really cool.
The worst thing you can do, as my friend Ariana said, is if you've got like a spare night that you're not gigging, is a bottle of red wine, Pro Guitar Shop demos or rig rundowns, and access to Amazon or eBay. Game over.
Oh mate, that is a recipe for disaster or brilliance, whichever way you look at it. You know. Disaster for the bank account, though.
for sure. Yeah, like stay away from it. Like try and make yourself not logged in and hide your cards. Yeah. You've got talking about the pedals. You've got the Eventides, haven't you?
I have. Yeah. So I've got the Eventide Time Factor and Mod Factor.
So these are like the Strymon, it's like the Eventide version of the Strymon. It's the super high-end, high-fidelity modulation thing, and the other one's delay, do you say?
The other one's delay. I mean, to be honest, I really don't use... I really like a sort of tape echo sound. I'm not really a digital delay guy.
Yeah, I prefer that as well.
Yeah, this really does everything. But I kind of just use one setting on it.
Yeah.
Just use the tap tempo, job done, and that's it. And then on the mod factor as well, I'm not heavily into modulation, but I just use a bit of. That's
perfect.
Set really, really fast. But or sometimes a bit of chorus.
Yeah.
But I don't really use a great deal else, But it's they're a little bit complicated for my needs, to be honest. But they're great.
Great to have them.
Yeah.
You get called into a session over a band that you need a lot of filling out. If it's a sparse band and stuff, it's important to have all that stuff. And I'm sure we've only got time to do a full demo of it, but I'm sure that just like the Strymon, they've got really powerful processes in them, and super high fidelity. Like this DC Electronics delay thing that I've got is great, but I think they're the next step up. And I've got my eye on the Mobius.
The Strymon Mobius. Yeah.
That's the first one, and then their delay one, I think. Because also, I think you're going into a session or going into a band or whatever. Like I don't know if you can see Dion's pedal board down here, but he's got you go into a session, people are gonna know that you're a serious player, especially with the dual fusion thing, because they're really high end, aren't they?
Yeah, they're quite dear. I think it was about $250 or something like that.
Yeah. But when you pay for these, the premium for these pedals, like I got the Exotic SL drive, and for what it is, it was like 150 quid, 160 quid. It's one overdrive pedal, and people say, well, you could get whatever. You can get like some other pedal that's a lot cheaper and does similar job, but the fidelity that it has and the clear.
It sounds brilliant.
As soon as somebody plays it, friend Mac was playing it the other day, and he went, I think I'm gonna have to get one of those.
Yeah, but most importantly, it's a small footprint as well. So
exactly.
Pedalboard real estate is important,
I could buy the whole Exotic range. Again, if I had access to red wine, Amazon, or eBay,
and an endless credit card.
Yeah, exactly. Dion, I think we're gonna run out of time in it, but there's been gonna be loads of stuff that we haven't covered. I'm gonna walk away in a minute and think, should have asked him about this, should have asked him about that. We've not done a massive amount of playing, but it's still early days for this podcast, and I'm going to get you on again, definitely.
Oh, absolutely. Would love to.
Eventually, hopefully, we can do something where we get like a band situation as well.
Oh, man.
So, man, thanks for coming down. Thanks for chatting out.
Thanks a lot, mate.
Hey, nice and thanks for Tim for helping us as well today. Cheers.
Cheers, Tim.
Kind of About Music podcast.